I love it that it's never like the biggest game of the week. It's just like some obscure.
Come on.
Fulham hired Claudio Ranieri,
Who?
the
Fulham?
Leicester coach that got fired when they won it. Fulham hired him. They fired their coach. They said on the bottom line.
There we go. All right, now we're live. All right, what up, y'all? Welcome back to Dude Lunch number 3. We are in the out of doors. Well, I guess we were outdoors last time, too. We're really outdoors now. We're going to see how the audio goes. We have a special guest who should be showing up shortly. I haven't ordered my food yet, so I'm out. I'll be back. Check out these guys.
We did order our lunch.
And
ate our and consumed it.
Yeah, we can get rid of our trash.
I'm starting Jet Duffy this week
Good.
in the semis.
That's smart. Oh, I would be in the semis right now. Would have smashed Lou based on my
you
team
would've.
performance.
I think you were the high scorer last week.
Disaster. I was talking to Sims about it. I'm done, but that was the most frustrating fantasy season I've ever had. The last 2 weeks, I played the high scores other than me.
That's a weird league because I feel like, I mean, there's so many free agent guys that are
Good.
relevant. Yeah. It's like really about like playing matchups. So like all the SEC is like basically has an off week. Like Bama's playing like the Citadel.
Yeah.
So like trying to predict who's gonna have. Because I'm playing Casey. He's got Tua.
But
I
he's
don't know if
hurt.
that's good or bad.
I don't think he's gonna play much.
Yeah, I don't either. But
It's bad.
he
for
could play
him,
a
for
quarter and have 4 touchdowns easily. And he's got Jerry Jeudy too, so it could be 3 deep bombs. And damage done.
Casey. I don't think they're gonna play Tua because he's hurt.
Saban said he was gonna play, but
Did they?
yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have
I mean-
insight.
I mean, that's just what Saban. I mean, he could be lying.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hate to be in his.
This literally tastes like pineapple juice. Like Dole pineapple juice.
That's what it is, right?
Weird, though. Well, it's like cider. It's like passion fruit, pineapple cider, but it literally just tastes like a. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's good.
Yeah. There's not a ton of bite to it.
No.
I went up to LA and visited my roommate Nick from college, and he was visiting a girl that he's talking to there, and I brought my sunglasses up and I left them. So now it's the whole story of how do I talk to this girl that I just met for the first time to get my sunglasses back.
You can't have
Better
your buddy
stuff.
talk to her?
I mean, he did, but
Oh.
he's in New York now,
Oh.
so it's just her and her place in LA.
Oh.
Are they expensive sunglasses?
I mean, not insane, but they're like $100.
Oh, that's pretty expensive.
They gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're never getting
Hey
those back.
guys.
What up,
What's
gents?
up? What up?
What up, what up, what
What's
up,
up, man? How are you?
What is that?
Good to see you. That's Flat Stanley. You're not
Stanley
familiar
coming to lunch.
with Flat Stanley? My, I don't know, how old's my son?
He
7.
drew
So you got
something.
3,
Oh.
so
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
What's up, man?
Good to
Justin.
meet you.
Very
Yeah,
good.
Officially
meet
in
you
person,
officially.
yeah.
Look at that.
Of course.
you guys
The
order?
Michigan
We
State.
colored
Yeah.
him, and then
They ate. They just
Oh, yeah,
scarfed
they
right
did,
through.
yeah.
I ordered. Mine's on the way. So
Cool.
Wait, are your children here?
Will you?
No, but they have sent Flat
Will you
Stanley.
order me one of
As
the like
a
pineapple
representative?
ciders, and I'll Venmo you. Thanks, man.
So this
will
is
you
their
order just all of the
representative.
pineapple
Yeah,
ciders?
we just.
yeah, so we colored him, and he's hanging out. We take pictures.
Introduce Justin to the cold brew coffee cocktail.
Oh, the
Oh,
Cutwater
nice.
one.
Yeah,
How
they're-
you like it?
it's a big boy drink.
Yeah. it's-
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
He last time we did one of these, he got started and halfway through he was already drunk, and then he had like 4 more, and by the end of the day,
Of this drink?
Yeah.
well, he had one of those,
To
and then he
start?
had whatever the other one,
Something
whatever
else.
his
Yeah,
go-to
one of
one
those.
was.
I mean, we were just drinking some cold brews. He did a webinar, kind of waking up slow, knocking some work out, and then he's like, "We're done with the webinar." He's like, "You ready to drink?" You know, I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, "Hold on, I got these. You know, these little can things, right? Whatever that brand
Yeah.
is of the
Cutwater,
can.
Cutwater, yeah.
Yeah, the Cutwater, right?
Yeah.
And,
Dude Lunch brought to you by Cutwater.
Yeah. Again, the second time in a row.
So we're like, yeah, it's a good transition drink. It's like, I don't know, 12
Yeah,
something
yeah.
percent. I'm sipping it, and we're sitting on his patio too, and I'm like, that's not caffeine that I'm feeling right now. Like this is a big boy drink.
That's the other direction.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Is that on?
It is on.
Oh, okay.
We are live.
Is he ordering you food already?
No, I'm gonna go.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, do your thing.
Yeah, and do that.
What is this place? What's it called?
Carnitas Snack
Crack
Shack.
Snack Shack.
Crack
No.
Shack is something else.
Yeah, Crack Shack.
I always get them mixed
Me too.
up.
I always say the
Snack
same
Shack,
thing.
Crack Shack. Both good choices.
We should go to Crack Shack one time.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Crack Shack?
How about
I
this?
have been.
Oh
Okay,
yeah. Yeah,
Big,
I'm a huge
JMac's
fan.
kids sent a
Stanley?
representative to hang out with Greg. Flat Stanley.
Flat standing. What is that? What is this? A
Oh,
huge,
yeah.
like,
That's a palm tree.
bead? Oh.
Or I think it was supposed to be a
Palm tree. They just.
that was
I'm sure they
colored in.
don't. I mean, his shirt is also
Oh,
a
wow.
deep purple.
This is more. This is more diorama than I thought. These are
Yeah, those
posted
are-
onto it as pieces of paper.
Oh, not just drawn.
It's
Oh.
actually a pretty high quality coloring job, if I do say so.
I know, it's all inside the lines.
And it's
completely
all
agree.
like in flow, you know?
Well, we
Future
can put,
animators for
we can
folklore right
definitely
there.
we can,
That's
we
what
can
that
put
is.
a we can
Promise.
put him in a seat if we want. We'll pull up a chair.
Grab a chair. Yeah, stick him in there. Why not?
The head of the table.
Yeah.
Flat Stanley. There's gonna be something that comes up where their vote's gonna be 2-2, and then we're gonna have to turn to Stanley.
Stanley, what do you say?
That's it.
And of course, he's got both hands up, so
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to tell which one
Always
he chose.
neutral.
It's like Sweden.
This isn't gonna work.
Speaking of
Pick a
Sweden,
side.
you guys seen that new show on Netflix, Welcome to Sweden?
No.
It's got Amy Poehler's little brother. Is the lead. He's the creator and the lead in the show. I didn't even know
Comedy?
she had a brother. It's really funny.
This
Really?
isn't gonna work.
Like, here, let me help you with that.
The chair can't slide in far enough. to
Yeah, but I
hold
got
it.
a jacket. We can.
Yeah.
I've got a show for everyone too on Amazon Prime called Homecoming.
Homecoming.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Must be watched.
What's that one about? I feel like I've seen that one.
Sam Esmail did it. Same guy who did
Mr. Robot.
Julia Roberts is in it, starring.
I got the county cream in?
Please, thank you. Welcome.
She is like she's like a
yes
psychologist,
yes.
like kind of
Oh
like
my goodness,
working
yes.
with PTSD. It's
Yes,
awesome.
trippy.
Yeah, it's like trippy and
Trippy
weird. You don't know
beyond
what's
belief.
happening.
No idea what's
and,
going on.
And underrated part, 30-minute episodes.
Oh, yes.
So you can just stream it and
Yes. First episode's
plow
done, and you're like, wait, what?
right through them. Yeah.
What?
And they're all really good.
Really good.
I love
I
Sam Esmail,
thoroughly
so
enjoyed it.
I really like
Yeah.
Mr. Robot.
You can plow that show in
Yeah, that's a
3
very good one.
nights.
Homecoming.
It's really
Homecoming's good. Welcome to Sweden's good. There was another one that we just watched. It was also good.
I haven't been watching a lot of TV.
You know, I've been.
good. I really, that's
My
on the show we
my
watched.
off time spent with Madden right now. Fortnite.
Fortnite.
My computer has died. Officially, it's gone. And so
Your
until
laptop?
yeah, and so as in between now and the time when I get a new one, which luckily things tend to work out when you're karma and all that.
Yeah.
My dad and my mom were visiting over the weekend, and my laptop happened to have died the day before they came. And so, slyly, as children do to their parents,
Yeah.
I mentioned that my laptop was dead, and my dad said, "Oh, I just bought a new one. You want my old one?" And he has mine was like a 2012 MacBook Pro model. Uh-oh, Flat Stanley's taking a dive. It served me beautifully all these years, right? Longer than every other computer I've ever owned combined. But then it ate the dust. And he has like a mid 2016 15-inch, and I was like, talk about a
Yes.
step up and for free, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't get it till I go. The bribe was I can have it if I come home for Thanksgiving.
So you are.
So I got to go home for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, which means I don't get it until next week. So I've literally been working from my phone for a week and a half.
It is a computer in itself.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, and it plugs in, so I can actually use it in desktop mode. But there's like
Probably do everything but Infusionsoft with it.
Infusionsoft works.
You can go on campaigns.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
The only thing
Because you have a mouse that because once it goes to the
literally
thing,
you
it
have
has-
a
and keyboard.
USB-C.
This works as a functioning computer
Thing.
to the
So
desktop.
it just goes.
Yeah, it plugs in, and I can do most things. The only things I can't do in Infusionsoft are, inside the campaign builder in like an email, there's like a third sidebar. So there's like stuff to drag over, and then there's like or maybe it's just in broadcast where you can like, if you want to set it up as a split test or whatever.
Yeah,
is that other
broadcast.
You can't even see that.
Yeah. Wow.
And then also ClickFunnels just doesn't work at all. Like, just does not function, which is fine because I would rather not be in ClickFunnels if I can avoid it.
Agreed.
I hung out with the ClickFunnels guys at Jeff Walker's event this last weekend, sometime previous to this meal, and there's a guy there named Adam that I've known from like way back when, like when ClickFunnels started. I met him, and like we've always just been friendly, and I talked to him about the pains with the integration. And so we sat down, we probably spent like 45 minutes together, and we wrote this long email about the technical aspect on the ClickFunnels side, so that Infusionsoft had all the details that they needed if they want
God.
if they want to
Thank you.
make the changes.
Praise all of
Setting
them.
That has been
Well, I sent that email on
Such-
Sunday. It's Wednesday now. I haven't gotten a response yet, but it is in someone's hands at Infusionsoft.
I can never tell, like, so who bears the brunt of the blame?
Both
'Cause
equally.
I've heard, yeah, that's that's what I've gotten is like
Well,
Neither of them will
ClickFunnels, here's
update
part of the problem.
whatever they need to.
ClickFunnels and Infusionsoft are like, in Norway, everybody speaks English. Okay?
Yeah.
ClickFunnels is like the English they speak in Norway, and Infusionsoft is like the English we speak here in Southern California.
Sure.
They're not exactly
Which
the same
makes it way
language.
worse
That's
because
what
I'd
I'm
rather
saying.
you just speak it or not.
Right.
But they
Yeah.
like half.
Or maybe even
Yeah,
worse, it's like
some
it's
stuff
Spanish
half
and
works.
it's
Yeah.
like Spanish for Mexico and
Spanglish.
Portuguese,
Yeah.
right? They don't speak. They're not even approaching marketing the same way. Sometimes things just don't match up.
Well, they said they want to get on the phone with someone on our side, Infusionsoft side.
Because like it'll work and then something will just stop working.
yeah, and there's
Completely.
nothing
And
changed.
yeah, and you're just like, wait, what? Or like every third contact like won't come at
Special?
you.
Thank
It's so weird.
Enjoy, man.
Damn. Throw that up to the camera. Give a half over there.
Check that out.
That's nice. The special. I asked if they had the Carnifornia burrito again, and they did not.
That was
They said they don't have tortillas.
that was some next level.
And I almost went next door and got tortillas and said, "Now
Just
do you
put
have
it on
those?"
there.
Yeah. But yeah. So, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the ClickFunnels thing. So I talked to them, and I'll keep applying pressure on that, but it doesn't seem like it's that easy of a fix. The way that they built it was through forms, right? So the information passes to a form, and then that's where the tracking the big problem is tracking for affiliate stuff. Bretzau, you know that, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a pain
So
too.
so like when people log into their portal, they can't see how the orders that even though the order was, it's really weird. It like tracks on the
Yeah.
order, but it doesn't track in the affiliate.
The lead doesn't track at all either until the order happens.
Sure.
Then it will track. It's super weird.
So
What are you talking about?
through the
ClickFunnels.
through the API, there should be a way. Like imagine going in.
Mike's playing Jesus here. He's going to save us from our ClickFunnels
Savior.
woes.
I met with a ClickFunnels dude at the Jeff Walker event,
Okay.
and we wrote this long email to Infusionsoft's product team about.
With suggestions for improving the API connection?
yeah.
Or one of
just
the
like-
API connections?
Yeah.
As far as I understand it, there's like 4.
Yeah, there's different ones.
Yeah,
This
that's
one's about
another-
affiliate.
Whenever there's a problem, the solution is use the other one.
Use the other one.
Oh, are you using V3?
Yeah.
I
Try
didn't.
V1.
I don't know. I don't know much about it. But anyway, they we're starting the communication, which is good. And we were focused more on the affiliate connection and trying to figure out how somebody could come into a ClickFunnels form and buy, and all the affiliate stuff would be tracked properly in Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
And I imagine a world where you could log into ClickFunnels and through the API have connected to Infusionsoft, and like you could somehow just say like check a box that says like track my Infusionsoft
Totally.
affiliates.
So there is an API call to look up affiliate cookies. Like it's possible.
Uh-huh.
It's just not it's not an exposed option in their connection, which doesn't make any sense to me. Anything that collects leads, you know how there's like an API call to add a contact, and there's a different API call to add a marketable contact?
Yes.
Like you can add contacts and not have them be marketable. Like what's
Yeah.
the fucking point?
Yeah.
Why would you add contacts and
And
not
not
check
have-
for that cookie? Like there's no drawback in it to it, in my opinion, other than I guess additional complexity in building it.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah,
well,
it should.
we'll see what happens. We're trying.
Sweet. Sounds promising.
Yeah, we'll see if we get a response
great.
on the
Michael, To hark back to the blog post I wrote about talking to Infusionsoft, we know it's not your fault. We know somebody else is to blame for these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually said that
That's
like
that.
3. I had to say that about 5 times last
I
week.
like that you spelled out a talk script for that.
Yeah.
Say this following sentence to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get the steak sandwich?
I got whatever the special was.
Oh, okay. Torta, yeah.
Yeah, I felt Brett's like hidden Infusionsoft angst in that blog post.
Well, if you'd seen
Did you start in tech support?
Yeah.
Or you finished in CRT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you'd seen the first version of that I wrote, like
It was more intense.
much more angry. In
Yeah.
fact, do you remember? We'll see if Josh remembers this. Remember when we were with
Belittling.
Frank? I don't think it was the talking with Infusionsoft. It was like I had a lot of angst in general, but I remember one of the presentations I did for Frank at one of the events was why you hire people. And remember the first version, and you were like, maybe we can like turn some of these around so they're like a little more positive instead of so negative. That's what he said. That was his feedback. Was like maybe we can like spin these a little
Instead
better.
of don't hire idiots, hire
Instead of
based
like,
on merit.
You're all dumb. You're all dumb. So hire people because you're
Stop
like
being so
maybe.
stupid.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Get your head out of your ass.
That was basically what it was.
Classic.
And that was I think the first version of that presentation too. It was like, duh.
Today
of course
is a
they
day
don't
for
know.
pleasure, but are you here for work?
Yes.
One with no pico?
That's me. Yeah.
No, sir.
Thanks.
Well,
Yeah,
with
there's-
pico. And then we got the beers for you guys right now.
All right, thank
Oh,
you.
cool.
Right.
You
Yeah.
are here for work?
No, I'm here. I'm here for hanging with Flat Stanley and Craig.
In that order.
Some
Play only.
some
Flat
work
Stanley
has
won't
been
shut up.
done.
Yeah.
I won't pretend it hasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are off at the moment.
Good.
Yeah.
But are things good?
Yeah, man. Really good.
Oh. Yeah.
I've been like
Freshly bathed.
I always
Oh.
talk a big game around just
We have
dropping
that in common,
everything and
guys.
spontaneously come in to hang out in San Diego.
You
And,
got a blueberry
I
clove
mean, good on
shampoo
Yeah.
as well.
yeah.
There you go, man.
Yeah, it's a different
JMac
trip without the kids, even though we
guested
love
on the
your
webinar
kids,
this
so
morning. I
it's-
don't know if you
I did.
observed.
You
I
get a
happened
little
to see
more
that.
relaxing time.
Where you turn
Oh,
the
I'm
camera,
so-
like he's sitting right here.
Yeah.
Is it just one more night?
It's actually kind of weird.
Yeah,
I
I'll be here tonight
joined.
and then
Vimeo is really,
tomorrow, right?
it's rad because you just join your
Fly.
browser, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Fly.
sweet.
Fine.
Yeah.
But like,
You can
I
join
just
from your
didn't-
phone. But
yeah. So I got on the mobile browser.
It's always good to
because
see you.
my computer.
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
it, like,
likewise.
Okay.
A couple days ago, I was in
Got
Chicago.
on the mobile browser.
Snowing and crap, and
And,
in a convention
it, like,
center.
Right here for you.
Let
What
me
event was that?
It was
join
whatever the
enough
hell
to be able to
GKC
see everything you were
calls
doing, but then
themselves.
it just
OBS
like,
Info
give
Burst
permission
Summit is what this
to
thing is
use
called.
your camera and microphone.
Yeah. How was it?
So it's like I haven't actually
It was
completely
good.
joined,
It
but I'm
underperformed.
still
They
watching everything that's
underperformed.
happening.
Right.
So I don't even know if it showed
trying to
me
get the
as being
momentum
on
and the
there at
mojo
all.
back and all
But I
that.
was
said he
watching
knows-
all
Figure out what
He
it is,
said,
Yeah.
I saw Brett like pinged in or something.
Couple
and
of
I
minutes.
had- I
Saw
had
the
noticed
admin,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it,
because I didn't. I was
yeah,
like, well,
I mean,
they're in the middle of
we-
stuff. I was 7 minutes late anyway, so I was like, I'll just sit here.
You know, we're
Vegan
not,
and gluten
we're good.
free.
We're in the black, but
Yeah, it's all good.
Like, there's a certain
But it seemed pretty good.
expectation we have.
Like,
when
Yeah,
we're
good
involved
content.
in advanced
Yeah.
speaking.
I like that it was
Yeah.
like he didn't try to
And-
cover too much.
So we'll
This
be
was
brief
Ryan
and
Keith
we'll
did a
make
webinar
it
for my members this
square.
morning,
Yeah. Cool.
and it was about like campaign documentation.
been up to?
And like forcing yourself to ask,
I
what are the objectives of this campaign? What happens
have been working
if somebody
hard with
doesn't
Ramon
do that
on
thing?
Partner
Yeah.
relationship stuff.
And-
We have a new
what happens if somebody
director of
disqualifies themselves for
partners.
this campaign?
Yeah.
Like they're not a good fit for it. Like it
Tom,
just forces
who's
you to
Tom
consider these
Robert's old
outcomes,
job. His name's Dave.
and like
Dave
in
Verrick.
doing so,
Dave
uncover
Verrick.
Yeah.
I've heard that name.
like
Yeah.
where the holes might
He's-
be.
yeah, he's-
We're like,
he's
all right,
the new
well, we
guy.
don't
He
have
lives
we
in
don't
San
have
Diego,
we haven't
actually.
planned for this scenario. That's
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
I liked it too because it was like
He's from
partially
Carlsbad,
it was
really nice guy.
documentation, but it was also
he's,
here's how you
he's
should think about
learning.
your campaign.
Yeah,
Like, is
well,
there a point
he's
that-
learning a lot.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know,
What's
it's
he
your
learning?
What's the
first day
point
at
in
Infusionsoft.
documenting?
He's
like,
new to the company.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much to
documenting
learn.
poor
And he's the director of
processes.
partners.
Yeah.
Like
And he
forces
doesn't.
you to
He,
improve
he's
your
kind of
processes.
great.
It's
So
like,
like,
wait, yeah.
if I say, do you
Right,
know
yeah, that was
who
cool.
Lewis House is?
That was like
Or
my-
do you know
like
who
the-
Jeff
He doesn't
One
have
of
a
the
small
hidden-
He is
business. He
no-
doesn't have
Yeah. He
doesn't
doesn't
know
Valuable
the tribes. He doesn't know the
takeaways
culture.
from
He
the
doesn't know
migration
the history.
was
Not
in
yet.
moving my
Yeah.
content.
He's a very
it
nice
forced
guy,
me
and
to
I
like
think
revisit
he's
my
really trying to
content.
learn
You know,
fast.
in
Look
moving
at it.
in moving
And
the
the good thing is
campaigns or the
Ramon
whatever.
is
I was like, why was it built
indoctrinating
this
him
way?
as-
Yeah.
And gave
as
it a
Ramon
Where
chance.
does
does.
this fit into everything?
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's good because it kind of, from a positioning standpoint, because it lets everyone kind of re-explain their role in the
Lay
way
down.
that they feel they can be most impactful.
Yeah, let me redefine this for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got a little bit of a blank slate.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you
But
guys
it's
up to? What are your
interesting
objectives?
As a team.
Yeah, what does winning look like for your team? What does winning look like for you?
Oh man.
And how can I help?
4 sales per event.
Crush
yeah.
it.
definitely not that. Infusionsoft as a whole is focused very much on deals, even more so than I've ever remembered.
Yeah.
on
What
getting
about
deals.
and you guys?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Where our focus has shifted to that, but if for me,
Is that your team's job?
it is now.
Like event selling
Yeah.
Largely,
and
yeah.
via partners.
Via event selling and generating leads through.
So and
partner
that's
channels.
through like you guys are clearly leveraging partners who can do one to many, and then partner who are doing one to one
Yes.
based on their agency. Do you guys have a focus of one versus the other?
I would say we're trying to build more relationships with larger strategic partners, right? The Dave Ramseys and those types of people.
Yep.
But that's also a delicate dance of how to make it a win-win. So I think that's something that we're still figuring out because these relationships. I mean, all these relationships
Good,
are.
Oh,
DM's probably the longest, but it's only a 4-year-old relationship,
one?
and without like maintenance and updating campaigns and those types of things, they can prove
Yeah, I
to
don't know
be,
if I've
even
had
if they
it.
were
It's really
profitable
good.
initially,
Yeah.
they can
I like
shift
that.
very
Like a
quickly
tank.
when it comes to the amount of ad spend
Feel like
you're
a
putting
little
towards it
sour.
and those types of things.
What
because
you guys
It
are
looks-
spending?
It looks like
Yes.
it looks like
from
raw,
our team standpoint.
unpasteurized
So
ads.
because that's what we do with a lot of the co-marketing
Mm-hmm.
funnels is we'll have them build the content and then we'll drive.
All right,
We'll
I got
drive
good-
a lot of
I got a good
leads.
question.
What was this event you did the other day?
Topic du
Jeff
jour.
Walker,
Topic du
LaunchCon.
jour.
And you guys sold floor?
Lot of people there. Yeah, didn't
Will
the
Flat
numbers.
Stanley be able to weigh in? Do you think he's got anything to
I don't
Darren,
know
contribute?
about, I don't know about weigh-in.
We spoke at
Stink eye here.
7:30 a.m.
He's mean mugging you.
at a breakfast on
you
the East
own it.
Coast. A lot of people came from the West Coast
Huh?
on a
He's
Saturday
like the
morning.
kid, you know, there's always
after
one
Friday
kid in the
night out.
movies
So
that like stares at the
It
guy.
just
at the
there was a
table and
lot
is
of
like,
weird factors about it,
Sure, those are hard.
and the room was
That's
not.
Flat Stanley.
The room was not. Didn't have enough people.
Oh,
in
you know
it.
what else I watched?
There were 600 people at the event,
So
but
Sue is
not in our
full
room. There's
full
probably
scale into
between
Christmas.
40 and 60.
Okay.
100% full swing.
Come on.
We all
And I
know
just
that
think
person,
that's the
yeah.
position.
We
'cause, I
watched,
mean, I'm not in charge
night
of obviously
before
running events, but like
With
the whole
um,
thing of like come to Infusionsoft's
with Seth
breakfast if
Rogen.
you want
Oh,
tomorrow.
yeah, yeah.
just
is
it's like
not
a
very
dumb bro
attractive.
comedy.
Nobody cares about the
No, no,
noodle.
no.
Yeah, it needs to be.
No, you're thinking
The day
that's,
starts at 8.
What's the dude's-
Infusionsoft's
come
gonna
on.
kick
They're
us
in like a
off with
limo
talking
though,
about.
or
blah,
There's a
blah,
limo,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
yeah.
blah.
It's
Yeah.
come on, it's the
Then
guy
everyone's
from
there.
Here's
Like
what
I
they're
don't
gonna talk
understand. I
about.
don't
Oh, yeah, and they're
understand.
picking up
Keller?
your breakfast.
No, 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 no.
We'll see
Yeah,
you in the
exactly.
morning.
Yeah, if
Michael
and
Cera.
if you want breakfast, we'll have some.
He's like a
complimentary.
musician. He's done a lot of stuff with
So
Russell
there's a
Brand.
lot of things that we need
record.
to do.
Jonathan
Figure out.
Jonathan
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
But-
I knew it was a J.
So we,
I'm
Him
telling
and
you
Seth
what
Rogen,
Infusionsoft's focus
and then
is.
Yeah, what's
the-
your team?
My
The
focus,
guy
my
who's
focus,
the-
and
who's
what I
like
hope to
in
do
the
is
Avengers. He's the other guy that flies.
so how
is
do that's what you guys do
thing.
versus what
I'm really-
who's
I like,
really
I like
bad.
this
Not
team
even.
more than the
He's our partner.
Renner? Jeremy Renner?
No.
ICPs versus trusted
But yes,
advisors.
right, correct
Got it.
movie.
Yeah.
Right, we're getting
Got it.
closer.
So
Warmer.
you guys are CP,
Don
right?
Cheadle.
No, but the other black
Obviously.
guy.
Got it. Are you guys
Um,
coordinated? I mean,
Panther?
clearly a trusted
No.
advisor,
Michael
right?
B.
you know,
Jordan?
The
more
other
of an
black, the
influencer
other
with
black
events
guy.
and shit
No.
versus.
Yeah.
Wow, that was.
Point is
more
like-
racist than I meant it to be.
I'm interested.
No, the
Samuel L. Jackson.
We
The
so our
guy-
game has not been selling in the past.
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
We're
You've hit
selling
every other black guy
now.
in the movie. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. No, the guy who.
And
it's like
I mean,
Apps, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're selling apps, packaging a service. We don't even talk about
I don't
the
even
apps.
know,
Like,
is
this is
it
what
the
you want. This is
same-
the playbook. It's done.
It's
You
a
need
part
this
of it, yeah.
technology.
is it Don
Yeah.
Cheadle's
Yeah.
character, but later?
We had
No, it's
90
not.
people
So
at a
Don
breakfast
Cheadle
at
like works
6:30
for
in the
like,
morning
either,
in
like,
Denver
works for
a
an
month
agency in
ago.
the government.
Nice.
90.
He also
we
ends up
were
flying,
there with
like,
active
in one of the
campaign.
Iron Mans he has a suit.
And we had
yeah.
like this bonus for
Iron Man
digital
too.
agency
So
owners.
it-
90
so
people showed up to
Captain
breakfast,
America,
right?
Winter
Which was a big
Soldier,
breakfast. There's only
Steve Rogers.
170 people
Yes.
at the event.
This
Yeah,
guy
it's
is in.
They show up. We got to roll
he
some more
shows up
tables.
later,
That's
though.
good.
I don't think I saw the Captain
I would
America.
use
And
my phone,
we
but
sold
I'm choosing-
20,
anyway,
23
whatever.
of their apps.
The point
with
is,
our
they're three
service.
friends
That
who
sounds
they
great.
always
Yeah,
do
we didn't even
Christmas
talk
together,
about
Christmas Eve
technology.
together. They
So
have this
I mean,
tradition.
the
they go
night
do
before or
karaoke,
2 nights
and
before, we
then-
did that at ProfitCon.
Yeah,
You know,
Look,
accountants,
you're right. The
bookkeepers,
story
I
is
can't
trying
get
to
past
figure
that.
out.
I'm still
consultants,
thinking
right?
who the guy is.
Same thing,
I
we did
remember
17.
the preview for it.
Right?
I'm trying to think
I remember
about.
seeing this trailer.
Like, so I'm like,
trying to
oh,
think
so we've
who
got
else-
this
What else
muscle.
he's been in? Oh, hello. Okay.
We've got this muscle that's very different from like that campaign couldn't sell crap. You know, they go and they do single units and stuff.
Yeah.
'cause it's
Yeah, I
a
don't know. I think that's the
different
only
narrative.
movie I've
Anyway,
seen
so
with him
Here's the only answer. Name another
I'm
movie.
interested, and I've talked to
Which I
Matt
can't
and
do.
talked to Scott Martin,
can't
and
do
I'm
it.
trying to look like, hey,
I have no idea.
put 50 people in our room, right? Put 50 people in
Anyway.
our room.
We'll sell
So-
it.
We'll sell
a
it.
bunch of stuff
and then
happens.
we'll
and-
fulfill all
We'll
of it.
fulfill it, and they have
It's
to have
fun.
the, like the app's
Good
not
movie.
the
That's
problem.
the
That's
thing.
not the
No,
conversation.
really
It's just the
really
inevitable
inevitable thing that you have to have.
Yeah,
game.
right.
Like, and
Like, you
like,
have to
and
name
we'll
an
do
actor.
it.
I
Problem
have to
solved.
name
Like
a
easy.
movie.
Just crank it out.
And
Like
then he has to
finish
name
your
another
finish
actor
your
from that
your
movie.
unconverted
Yeah.
trials.
Then Yes,
You know,
the name.
That's a good
You're
one.
not spending any new money.
That is a good
Oh,
one.
whoa.
You're not cannibalizing anything else.
That could have been worse.
We're talking about that too because we're starting to drive more
unprobable.
leads to trial.
Oh no, Flat Stanley's like.
So one of the things that our team is
Come at
going to
it,
be
bro.
working on is figuring out how to, from a partner standpoint, how to take trials and get them going.
Convert 'em,
Yeah.
Your parents were here?
Simple.
Yeah. So
Picture over the weekend.
Okay,
there's
so,
a lot of
so
stuff.
your,
But what
your
I was going to
focus
say
is
is,
what?
Oh wow.
I just
Oh,
think
hey.
Getting a little too excited about my parents.
Were they?
this is really hard to
is it?
explain.
Yeah.
And
Just
you
to-
might
to
be able to
check
help
up
me
on me.
explain it better because you're in a seat where
yeah,
you
it was
have
fun.
a lot of
We just came
budgeting
for, like, one
influence on what you guys spend your money on, right?
Yeah, Friday, and then we,
so
They like soup.
They love
our
soup.
channel with Ramon,
like
me, and
soup more than
Darren
they
spend
like
a
me.
lot of money. We travel to a lot of
Which I feel like
events.
it's a good place to be.
We have to
yeah,
build
yeah.
partnerships. We have to we sign
went
contracts.
really
We
well.
do all these things.
And my
right? We have
aunt
ad
on
spend
my
on
mom's
Facebook.
side, I went to Hilton
And
Head.
the question right now,
months
if you
ago,
stop us
like,
how many
for a
apps
family
you're
get together,
using.
Yep.
and she said,
And that's constantly the question.
"Yeah,
how
we were
many
thinking
apps
you
you're
could
using.
come. Maybe bring Sarah.
Whoa.
Maybe just Sarah comes. Whatever."
The apps are
I was
important,
like, "What was that?"
but
Excuse me.
if I had my way, we would go to
mean,
the
it is
events,
cheaper that way.
and I would
Yeah.
just speak about
It was
how marketing
it's
automation
especially funny if
impacts
you
you.
know my aunt
And
is
if
like
you think
pretty
this is
straight
important to your
laced,
business,
like
opt in
East
here,
Coast,
right?
like
Type-
she's just
type of
like
thing.
very
Not-
like it was
Take out your credit
it was especially funny
and
coming
spend
from
those
her.
types
Sure.
of things.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you what I would do. And the spend would go from a
How many
partner
siblings do you have?
and sales, direct
And
sales
what's the age range between
at
the oldest
spend
and youngest?
to
20
a
years.
marketing spend.
So
Because
what age are your parents?
when
in
we
the
show up
70s?
at events,
My dad is
I talk
70.
to
We were born in
all of,
47,
you know,
so-
you know how it is. I talk to all of our current
71?
customers at the
Yeah.
events.
My mom will be
The partner's
70
happy that we're there.
in 2 years. She's like 3 years younger.
The people who want to
Yeah, my
buy
dad
come
was
to our
born in
booth and talk
45.
to us and do that type of thing.
My mom
as
was
well.
born in 55.
And there's just this
You know, they were-
untrackable ROI associated to it.
10 years apart.
And
yeah.
what I want to do is help Infusionsoft see that more.
You can track that.
How? How do I?
It
how
may
do I-
not be all digital affiliate, link
Yeah.
shit. Like we have a spreadsheet. We track all that, so we know. Hey, we spent money in 2017 on TNC.
I don't think spreadsheets are going to catch on.
It's a
They
bad-
haven't yet. Seriously. It's like,
Like
the big,
you're
the
talking
big
about like
secret.
how many people came to the booth?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
And like
like-
keeping track of all that, and then
Yeah.
going, no, this is like absolutely tracking ROI through those conversations. You just gotta be deliberate about just recording those
Yeah.
interactions.
And I think that type of stuff, yes, some of it can be recorded, is what I will say.
My point is, you can prove your ROI
Yeah.
to that activity, and then I think keep selling in the room, but start with your narrative instead of their narrative.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about the tool?
Yeah. True. Anyway,
Very,
so that's
very true.
kind of the deal. And then we're working on our stuff.
So what are you? Yeah. So what are you doing still in Infusionsoft? Like that was. Hold on. Not what are you still doing in Infusionsoft? So
Why haven't you left yet? dude?
in that context, what are you doing? You're at events. Are you still like supporting and consulting?
Having technical conversations when people
Yeah.
have deeper questions about
Yeah,
stuff.
I have a lot of technical conversations.
What would this
with
look
the
like?
trust-
At the
Trusted
events.
advisors?
Sometimes I speak at events. It just I didn't speak at this event.
Got it.
Yeah, that's when I go to events. That's what
Was
I do.
Orlando the last one you were at? Yeah.
Good recommendation.
Right.
Carnitas would be him.
Legit. It's their namesake.
It's probably should
Yeah,
nail
Can't
that.
go wrong. As long as it's got pork in it, whatever dish you get here, I think all the dishes have pork in it.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well,
It's good, but my point is, as long as it's got pork in it, it's going to be good here. That's been my experience.
Dude Lunch, sponsored by Carnitas Snack Shack.
Dude Lunch sponsored by
Brought to you by
Cutwater Spirits,
Cutwater.
hopefully, and also Carnitas Snack Shack. Sponsorships, please.
Club Med and anything else we can plug
No,
here?
we already decided.
Yeah.
Because they've got the Palesmith on tap over there, so we're like, Josh is going to go back there and just start
Yeah.
serving them. Okay, so I had a question that I wanted to discuss today for our Dude Lunchers.
Flat Stanley has disengaged.
Yeah, Flat Stanley's like, nope, not having it.
Literally turned his back on us.
I'm not having it.
What's up?
So my question is this: we fielded a call before you guys got here from good old Jason Hewitt.
Right on.
Great friend, and he
The Red Ranger.
Red Ranger.
Yeah.
Got it.
Red Ranger, yes. One of our started out 6th Division. That's how I know him. Worked with him a long
One
time
of my
ago.
5 favorite Rangers.
It's the top 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And long story short, expressed some frustrations that I also have felt with clients that I work with, and it's not anything to do with like personality or like people themselves, but rather the attitude people have towards technology. And I think one of the things we talked about after the call, and also a little bit during the call, was to what extent do you need to go to help your client understand what you're doing versus like because they feel like they need to know all the steps.
Yeah.
Versus no, just let me do my thing and it'll make sense. Like I'm going through that. I go through that every day. Every single one of my clients is like, tell me all the things, and I'm like, do you want to know all the things or do you want all the things?
Yeah.
Because I can do one or the other, but I don't have time to do both. So what's been either your experience or your thoughts or, you know?
I think it kind of depends on the customer. Because, like, I have customers that just want it done. Like, I don't care how you do it. Just, like, this is the result I want. That's it. And the other ones are just like, oh, you know, crowds that want to know every process. Like, how do we do it? Make sure it's documented so that, like, we can train our team.
Right.
So how do you balance the need to get stuff done and make sure that everybody knows everything that's happening? Like, I'm sure even in those situations, there's like a line where you're like, I'm going to tell you up to this point, and then I'm just going to do the rest. Like I'm going to give you a piece of it, but not necessarily everything.
My default is just to do it. It's just to, like, you know, like what you want to know, you can ask and I'll explain it, but like I'm just going to go and trust, you know, hopefully you trust that it's getting done, and so they can just give me kind of high level, like, this is what we want to accomplish. You know, here's...
I think it probably also depends on like the expectation for your relationship moving forward.
Sure.
Right? Like if it's a short-term project that you know they're going to be like maintaining,
absolutely.
then at some point you have to hand them the keys, and what have you put in place to make that handoff as successful as possible?
Yeah.
But if like you're on retainer and the goal is to have like this out of sight, out of mind, then they don't need to be bothered with the how it works as long as it's producing, and they need to know that it is. They need to like accountability.
Have you seen the tool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's badass.
So yeah, exactly. But I think where the question comes for me personally, and I think there's a lot of different applications for this, but is in that such scenario where they probably shouldn't be bothered, all things considered. Like we know because of our perspective on the situation, like let me do it, and yet they want to have understanding further than there is like an efficient amount of time to give, right? So it's like
sure.
What's the dialogue of like, okay, yes, let me just do it, just trust me, and maybe that's it. Maybe this is the shortest conversation of all time, and that's just the answer.
So I think I was gonna say I think it depends on the good leadership is like good parenting. You give your child what you are for your child. You are for the people you lead, clients included, what they need you to be, and you help shape them into what they need to be. Right. So it's it's both of those things, and so it's like. In this case, it's tell them as little as possible and as much as necessary.
I like that.
Great way to
I
put
like
it.
that a lot.
Yeah, and
live.
so
Can we make him a regular?
Yeah.
I was going to share this. Are we live right now or no?
We are live, yeah.
What medium?
All right,
YouTube.
that'll stay. We finally found a place
yeah.
where
Can we find a different thing to anchor it with so my second grade son doesn't have a? What do we got?
Grab that basket.
Yeah, this isn't going to be any better.
Yeah.
Stan has a problem with wind. Okay?
Just
hold it.
Can you do
Just hold
this? Yeah, this might be perfect.
Yeah, we'll put it right between the
Relax.
glasses.
Yeah.
It's on the dude.
Not gonna.
Oh.
Will he just stay?
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's a Zen sounding way to answer it, but it applies, and then you get to decide and discern, right, every time, and I think it is empowering. Like, how much do I need to empower this person to be autonomous? Like, adoption is the key thing, and I think that's what a lot of people in the world we're playing, they miss of like, yeah, if a person doesn't understand enough to adopt with confidence, well, then all that work actually doesn't get used or goes, whatever. So it's tell them as little as possible, as much as necessary. Greg's amazing at pointing people to resources that are already evergreen. It's like, cool, go there, read that, do that. You've already got the information. And then one of the things we did really well at ALU, and we do it now at 6th Division for our clients too, is what we call it an overview, right? We'll just, and you all do this too, but we throw Loom on. And then systematically know, hey, this is the order we're going to document what it is that we've done. So we don't, because typing documentation takes freaking forever sometimes too. So it's like, all right, cut out the fat, start, stop, so that all our videos are under 5 minutes if it's an overview. And we start with the end in mind, work backwards, show them what they need to know and nothing else. They don't need to know what the tags are. They know that we have a tagging system. They know that it produces this report, So again, as little as possible, as much as necessary. And
what's your mechanism for dealing with clients that say, but I want to know what the tags are?
Yeah, point them somewhere. That's a system answer, in my opinion, of like, okay, great, people who want to know that and it's not worth my time is write the blog, have the thing or whatever, and point them to that. You know, like
so,
today
so
even
in
you
the
asked.
instance, if you don't have it, it's like make something evergreen so that in the future you've got something you can point them to.
Yeah, isn't that kind of your philosophy and like your blog posts?
Yeah, right. It's like I want to have a
Frequently asked
resource
questions.
for every question that I've answered, X number of times, so the next time it's asked,
one and a
hey,
half.
it's right here. Yeah,
Yeah.
1.5.
1.5 times. It's a blog post.
Yeah. So I definitely gravitate towards over-explaining, probably more than people need, or more than people want or need, I guess. At the Plus This event we did a couple of months ago, I had like a 4-hour window to do this campaign, and like 2 hours into it, I said, we took a break, and I kind of had this moment of reflection where I was like, I'm way too deep. Like, all they need to do to launch this campaign are fill in the gaps. They don't need to understand like structurally why I built it the way that I built it. They just need to know what's it missing, how can I provide that, and then how does it work, right? Or does it work? And so we came back from like the break or whatever, and I sort of led with an apology, and I was like, hey, I think I've done you guys a disservice. I spent all that time like explaining, why and why and why, and really what you need is like these missing. Here are the missing pieces. You provide those, and I didn't like think a whole lot of. I wasn't feeling super guilty. I just sort of was like, hey, I did you a disservice, and I was all five or six people who were there, and they all were like, no. Like, the difference is we're gonna leave here and be able to do stuff with this. If all we did was fill in those gaps, then we're hostage to like maybe like the ambiguity or like it feels complex, but that without fail, maybe they were trying to make me feel good, but they all said like none of like there was more.
They really felt bad for you.
There was more there than that we needed, that we didn't know we wanted, or we wanted that we didn't know we needed, or whatever, right? So I don't know. It was a little bit reassuring because I think I have a tendency to like over-explain, point in case this run-on sentence.
I feel like you punctuated and paused in all the right
There were a
places.
couple, yeah, there were a couple.
Yeah, I got two thoughts to
Yeah.
it. One is there's a framework for teaching in pedagogy just called whole, part, whole. So anytime you explain something or teach something, like
Here's
whole,
the vision. Yeah.
yeah, like whole, so people have context. It's the mall map. Part, now decompartmentalize it, and then whole. Remember, this is where we were, and that's where it fits again. So just doing that, whether it's a 1-minute Loom video or a 4-hour like thing, it's like whole, part, whole every time, right? And you break it down. So that's one thing. And then the other is when it comes to how in depth is it, is the concept of the inverted pyramid. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of that? The inverted pyramid. It actually comes from journalism back in the day when you had to actually have print articles, and so the content that you would write, right, when you submitted it to the paper, they use the inverted pyramid, meaning at some point, like there's not enough inches left, and they're literally going to cut, right?
Sure.
That's where cropping and cutting, like literally with scissors we cut this, and that's what fits in there.
Yeah.
No transition, no like conclusion. That's the end of your story. Which means it had to always.
If you're lucky, continued on C16.
Yeah, right. Like it had to make sense wherever you ended it, no matter what, even if it was like 1 inch or a ½ inch.
Yeah.
The point being, you could cut all the way to the headline. So you don't like build suspense and get to the big reveal. You start with that. Like literally, the formula of the headline has all the information you actually want to know, and then the header, right? That lead line has all the information with a little bit more detail, and you're just like repeating with higher levels of detail as you go, and people can bail out whenever they want, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing is true for that framework, saying, okay, like this is all you need to know, headline, and when there's more, it's like, okay, I can come down and cut that, and at some point there's obviously like, yeah, no,
That
you got to go to this
that
blog
concept,
post.
though, right? It comes from the if you're seeing the camera move and you're watching us, that's Gatsby doing a little film work there. Give him a key grip credit. Yeah.
He's the best boy.
That's right.
Now I know what that does.
That concept comes from like the natural constrictions that come with print media, though, right? Which we are no longer bound by.
Confined by.
Right.
Right.
Last night, I'm writing a blog post currently about it's positioning the two Fiverr videos, the Park Ranger explanation, like the $100 version and the $500 version, a total inspiration from the Wistia like 110, 100 thing. I was like, hey, Fiverr is intimidating, and like I don't know how to spend money there.
What he did is what this blog post is meaningful, obviously, to what we're doing too. Like it's insane to show the difference.
So last night I wrote the first draft of the blog post, and I was like, God, this is way too long, because I went in my whole mentality approaching it, the experience with the first designer, sitting on the shelf for 6 months because I was frustrated with it, circling back to it, setting a new budget, doubling my new budget, and like then anyway, it was really long. And some people just want to know, what does the $100 video look like? What's the $500 video look like? And so I wrote the same blog post twice, and I'm going to put it in like expandable toggles. Which version do you want, right? So the answer to your question of like how do you give people what they want is to give them options. Like, which path are you interested in? Like the in-depth detail, the story that led us here, or do you just want like enough context to jump past this part, you know? And I haven't figured. I should find a way to track, like let them vote, you know?
By
like,
the
what
way,
was more
did
popular.
you see Bryce's video from Plus This? Bryce's
Their new explainer thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 grand.
Is what they spent on it?
Oh, I saw them.
Is it a full core thing?
I wish.
Oh,
I'm gonna message Bryce about
Is it
it.
an
animation?
We could have done
it.
we could have done the style that he did, no problem, and we would have done it for less than 10 grand, obviously. But he did a good job with it. Like the video's real. I really like.
Is it an animation?
It's an animation explainer video with lots of detail, and the characters are clean.
Super cool.
But your video turned out great too, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is
it done?
1/20th the budget.
Yeah. Is it done?
It's done, yeah. It's
Yeah.
90 seconds.
Cool.
Brett actually created a version of it that's 59 seconds and can be uploaded to Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
I got lucky.
Cut 40 seconds of it and it feels.
Still feels.
Yeah.
That's the secret right there. Like you just keep cutting the fat away from the steak, and you
Yes.
get like the best steak.
Filet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There you
Shakespeare,
go.
one of my favorite Shakespeare quotes is brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like there's a point you
That's
can just
true.
keep cutting to its most, and this is what you're talking about with the confines of print. I think it comes back to that. Like constraint catalyzes creativity. Like
Yeah.
when you have constraint, you have to be creative
the-
to actually maximize whatever the
like
resources you
big
have.
take-
The
Takeaway.
summary of the whiskey in a sentence. That is the whiskey.
Was that the outcome?
experiment. Yeah.
Pretty much. That
Yeah.
was their takeaway. Yeah.
Right.
It's like the more your budget, it just introduces new variables, and like you can do more, but it's not necessarily better. It like comes with its own set of challenges, and everything scales.
No, we're talking about profit. Walking in here, like business concept, is that like how flabby businesses can get as they push top line revenue and lose the innovation that got them there in the first place. And next thing you know, they're pushing top line revenue. They're growing. They're getting heavier, and they're actually just eating into margins.
Why are you looking at me?
And no, I was just making sure I look at everybody. I wasn't looking at you at all. I was talking to Greg about like just some of the
Flabby.
entrepreneurs.
Remember, Mike.
Oh, for the flabby?
Mike,
No,
it's
man.
not your
Look at
fault.
that.
It's not your fault.
It's not your. No, we're talking about infusion. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you realize you get lean, right? People do it financially. We do it with our diets sometimes.
Sure.
Hey, I'm going to get freaking in shape. And we eat less, we do more, we feel better, we look, whatever, right? The outcomes are better. But it's the constraint. It's intentional limitations.
business fitness.
Yeah.
There's a concept.
Yeah.
So, let's bring this back to practicality a little bit. So, because I think this is great. It's all very good, and I'm already seeing some things that I would never have thought of, which is create my own resources that I can point my people to. Like even at a small scale, where it's like, if I have more than one person ask the same question, it's like
Right.
how much time it takes. So let's get very real. One of Jason's problems that he's dealing with is how do you explain to somebody who's been using Access for 20 years
I don't
that
know
they
much
shouldn't
about
use
Access,
Access, but they should use Infusion.
It's just a CRM. It sounds like it's just a CRM.
So imagine,
that's old.
Access is like Excel,
Okay.
but on an air-gapped computer,
So think about
and more complicated, hard to use.
like think about like the concept of like cartography, like maps in general, right? Like maps have a legend for a reason. It's
Sure.
to help different people interpret the map. Because if all you do is draw a line between two places, that map only has one purpose, right? So by the nature of creating like tutorials on here's the campaign that you built, you're just setting yourself up to create more work in the long term. So what you need is a set of tools that will help them understand all nature of things on that map, right? If you have like, this is a mountain, they can identify all of the mountains out there. If they have like, this is a trail, they can identify all the trails out there. So what you need is like a legend for marketing automation or marketing or whatever that helps them as like a guide for interpreting the rest of the things that you do. And that way you don't need to explain step by step and play by play. You've like given them a set of like a cipher to help them lay over it and see or understand it on their own, you know?
So what you're saying is we just need to get you to make the blog posts, and
Yep.
we'll send everybody your way.
This is it.
Because you've got 90% of it already.
That's
that's
actually
what the Monkey
Yeah.
Mind courses are.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
It's like, you
it-
want to
literally.
understand what I'm doing for you? Here's this course, and now you have an appreciation and context for like the stuff that you're paying for.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, the content is the foundation. So many
Infusion's
people,
not
so many
Right, yeah.
people, all of us included, have sent someone to Greg's article
Yeah.
for something that he's done, right? Like
Sent to this week.
once or twice.
This morning
Right?
on the webinar twice.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it might not be the sexiest thing, but it's proven. I mean, the fact that all of us here sitting here send people to his
Are you
resources,
saying my blogs aren't sexy? Is that what?
they're sexy enough.
thank you.
Enough. But yeah, I think it's
Better than-
content.
Well, I
Great.
love the product development philosophy of build by partner. So when you're talking about I'll make my own resources, if necessary, if they already exist,
Yes,
they'll point
of
them to
course.
a
True.
trusted authority and be
True.
the curator.
Well,
of
that might be a good point too, because it's like, sometimes, like, I don't know that my specific questions that are being asked by my specific clients
Yeah.
make sense for
Right.
him to like put time or energy into creating. But there is that's a one thing. The immediate takeaway is there is a whole body of resource that already exists, and Greg is one, probably the largest. Well, I think easily the largest and the most thorough, but not necessarily encompassing everything. But there's a lot of other resources as well that you can point people to. And that makes a whole lot of sense. And maybe in the situations where it's a very specific question about your setup, like,
Right.
you know, maybe it's a new strategy that you're trying out, and somebody wants you to repeat to them for the 900th time why exactly they're responsible for their piece of it, even though you can see the whole vision. And you know, like, my problem is sometimes I get really quick to the idea, and I'm like, okay, I just need you to do A, B, C, D. Just do that, and I got this thing over here.
Right.
And I want to say, do your thing, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like at least 50% of the time that comes back with, okay, but I still don't quite understand.
Yeah, people hate feeling stupid, they hate feeling insecure, and they hate often wasting time and energy. So they're happy to invest time and energy and money when they understand why they're doing it, the simplest way for them to do it, and that it will, and they have confidence that it'll produce the outcome, right? So that's where what information do they need to know to be able to move fast? And I've got like two thoughts on it around just human behavior, right? And that's all we're doing. We're leading our clients, right?
Sure.
So when it comes to human behavior, there's a book called The 3 Laws of Performance. Have you heard of that?
Not.
So I'll save you the time, right?
too.
Yeah, there's 3 laws. The first law is that people behave or perform based on the way the world occurs to them. The second one is that occurrence arises in language. And the third is if you want to alter people's future behavior, use future-based language. So the idea is like something that's so clear and obvious to us, right? And we're like, how the frick do you not see this? Or why don't you just do the things I clearly laid out? Do A through D and we're good, right? But they're not performing the way that you want them. Well, because the way that they see the same situation you see is totally logical to them. Totally, right? And as a parent, if you're a parent, you realize you're insane, small child. Like, this is not logical. And then if you'll just see it there, it makes perfect sense, as it would for anybody, right? And all of a sudden, we have a little more grace for people, and then we can see it the way that they see it, and we realize, okay, what language are they receiving from me and any other, inputs, right, that's having them see that way? And then it's about future-based language, right? And so one of the thing that I always look at is it actually comes, there's a proverb that says, even the sweetest honey is loathsome to sated lips, right? Translation is like the best shit in the world is not desirable or even disgusting if somebody's totally full. Like after Thanksgiving, you're just fat and they're like, have some cheesecake. You're like, I'll punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Even though it's amazing and delicious, right? Someone who's gorged on water wouldn't want a drop, but someone who's dying in the desert would like kill for it, right?
Yeah.
Same substance. It's all because of the appetite. So my thing, like for leadership, it's around feed appetite. Do not waste your energy where someone doesn't have appetite. Don't explain something people don't want to know.
Yeah.
But feed the appetite that people do have. And if you need people to know something or you want them to think in a way that they aren't right now, then your job is to seed the appetite. Like, how can I
Help
get
them
you
create appreciation
exactly?
for what it is. Yeah.
And then feed it and drip it to them.
This is really pertinent to the conversations I've been having around the partner podcast because
Oh,
I
totally.
talk to all the people.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I talked to every person involved. And so for JMac's backstory, we created unique animated trailers for five different partners.
Do you know this Partners Partner podcast Peter Daly Dixon's doing? It's about Infusionsoft Partner, the Infusionsoft Partner ecosystem.
Cool.
Have you heard of
Nope.
this? Okay. So he's interviewed, I don't know, 50 probably
Yes.
episodes or 50 podcasts. Just
We're a
like
partner.
the backstory of these individuals.
I want a cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's pause that for a second. We'd be happy to do one for you.
Yes, let's have
Yeah.
a conversation about that.
So that's the podcast that we're talking about here.
Yes.
And a couple months ago, I reached out to Pete and I wanted to sponsor it because he has sponsors for it. And I was like, this podcast
cool,
is
man.
really valuable. It needs to be in front of more people. Like,
Yeah.
how can I contribute? And the idea was, he's like, I don't necessarily need money. I need marketing. So I went to lunch with these guys. I was like, hey, got this thing.
Dude lunch, got
Yeah.
a topic.
Yeah.
So we decided to use folklore and create some animations, which
It's
do-
good, yeah. So we made the animations, and the animations are really cool. They look really good. And the next step is to get some ad spend behind them, and not just in the Infusionsoft community, but get it into the small business community a little
They're
bit.
not
See-
technical podcasts. It's
and-
business stories.
and it's
from
about the
entrepreneurs,
person.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's the story about the person, like what their skill set is, what their interests are, all those types of things come up, what projects they're working on. So we created these, and I've been having conversations with the people that we did it with, and the tone of the conversations and structure of the conversations I've been having are very similar. It's like, hey, here's this cool thing that we created for you. Oh wow, that's really nice.
Yep.
I really like it. Hey, this is the team behind it. We've been working for 3 months. I bring that up. Like, we've been strategizing. We're going to be launching these into the space. It's a very informal ask, but it's a, hey, we're asking if you want a copy of this and you want to be a part of this launch, that you contribute $250 to the ad spend for the next 2 months that we're going to be running. And at that point, people are very, I'm not sure. I'll see. And I think a part of that is because they weren't involved from the beginning, and it wasn't their idea, because we're dealing with high-level people that understand marketing, and obviously this audience is different than if I were to go to another small business owner and do this, because by the way, we've had success doing this exact same thing, going to somebody who didn't ask for an animation, made them an animation, showed it to them, and then they said, yeah, where do we sign to do it?
Right.
But the other thing is, like, $250 literally is 1/4 of, let's just say 1/4 of the actual cost of the animation, the ad spend that we're going to put behind it, which I do make that apparent in the conversation. I just say, hey, this is just a sliver to help us kind of not be at such a huge loss. And by the way, none of us are getting paid for this.
Right.
So if
Greg's matching.
and Greg's matching their investment. So if any of them, like, I guess and I'm not the person who goes into the conversation to say, yeah, if you were to pay Brett, Josh, and me to do something like this, it would probably be in the tens of thousands of dollars, and maybe not for you, but for everyone to split it, right? But I just think it's weird that the conversations, from my reality, weren't just like, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
You
yes.
got,
The
you
answer
got
is
honey,
yes.
man.
Yeah.
You got cheesecake, and they're like,
And I'm like, wow, this is like it's literally been shocking to me. I'm like, whoa, this
It's
is
like we
really,
already built the fire. We're just
This is
asking
really
how
weird.
much
So I'm
fuel you want to pour
that
on it.
is very curious to me, because
Yeah.
was everyone expecting them to say yes, or because I wasn't. Like, I didn't think anyone would say yes.
You didn't think anyone would like the idea of their podcast
They like the
getting
idea.
I think
publicity,
they would like the idea.
but not be willing to spend
I
money?
just want to pause for a second. Do you remember what I put as Josh's moniker, by the way, for this whole thing?
The pragmatist?
Yeah.
Or-
So
Is that what it is?
I
Yeah.
just want to say it. Like, it fits perfectly with what he just said.
But it's very curious to me, because, like, I don't know. I guess just like,
Yeah, that's interesting. I just feel like this is. I feel like the biggest hurdle people have is not money, but like time. And so the idea of, like, I like this podcast.
Sure.
It profiles me. Of course, I
check
want
it
it in front of more people. I want to broaden the impact and the number of people that
You
it can
do.
serve.
Yeah.
So if you've
Sure.
done all the legwork for me and all I need to do is, like, match a
Yeah.
contribution,
Yeah.
that feels like a really
I guess for me,
Obvious
it's
path
the
to-
ambiguity of what's next.
So
it's
I guess if you're
I
in-
don't
yeah.
like when I
like a
look at it,
cold
and
brew,
which I brought this up
vodka,
with, like, what
and
we're
then
doing is,
one.
like, I don't like
Like,
the,
somewhere in
we
here-
can't show exactly what is going to happen.
Up till
from
now,
this.
my
We don't have a
articulation
process that we can be like,
gets enhanced.
look, we know
Somewhere
if we do
in
this,
here,
like,
I will start
here's what we're
getting
going to
diminishing
show. You're going to get
returns.
this. You're going to get this, and
I'm
I think
excited.
they kind of see it the same way I do. It's like,
But I'm
well,
great
it's
at
really
board games
cool.
somewhere in here.
That's a really cool thing,
Yeah.
but does it do anything? And that's kind of like that's the biggest hurdle I've had, is like I don't know how to cross that layer of, like, oh, that's a really cool thing, to, like, oh, that's a really valuable thing.
Yeah, you can't just say, like, trust me. Try it.
And don't get me wrong. Some people are like, yeah, like once you launch it, reach out to me, like send me a PayPal link, and I'll contribute. I'll contribute a little bit to it. But there was no people who are just like, yeah, where's my checkbook? And it was just a weird thing for me. But I totally see Josh's point.
What's the business outcome for somebody who invests? Like what can I expect?
Exposure.
Exposure.
So that's the question.
That's the
question.
Being a part of something where you're getting your name with other super
brand
partners,
building,
brand building, those types of things.
Still not reaching.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, we expect this is the traffic it's gotten, this is the traffic it'll get.
Yeah.
This is what you can expect
but we don't
to see.
have. We
Well,
won't
here's
have.
the thing. I think
That's why I was like,
this is what's concerning. This
Why
is
would I
not
throw away?
concerning, but I like this is a good conversation too because Greg saw the value without anybody coming to him, and he's the reason why we're doing this at all, right? Because he was on the podcast and he was like, let's push this out, and he sees the value in putting not just money behind his, but behind others.
Yeah.
So what's the difference then between Greg and somebody else? And if it's just that Greg is who Greg is, and he's great, then that's it.
Yeah.
No, it's that I don't have whatever the bone is that makes me crave an ROI before I make an investment, which probably is not a good thing.
Not necessarily though.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think
I'm
it's
back-
more that you see the potential, and I don't know if it's
This
that we-
podcast deserves to be in front of more people. That's how I
Perfect.
feel.
And
I
I
think
feel
Yeah,
like
but
the
so there's so
50
much
people that have
judgment
been
on the
on
word
it.
deserves from a pure business standpoint.
Yeah.
It deserves. The podcast inherently has no value, like it doesn't deserve shit, right? But I will gladly endorse it if I can, and it's all a guess. So we're making predictions, right? It's all a guess when we're going to invest in something. It's like, I'll invest that and expect like this many eyeballs. I don't have to track it all the way to $1 necessarily, but I've got to see why would I write a check for that when I could write a check for an infinite number of other things.
Yeah.
Like what makes that rise to the top? Because I'm interested. I'm like, yeah, that's $250, no
It's interesting.
problem.
Well,
Right.
Why would they spend
So
the
that's-
time to be interviewed on it? Maybe it's because they were already secluded, because he interviewed everybody at PartnerCon. So it's like they weren't doing anything else anyway, so that they don't have that like, I've already invested time in being interviewed on this thing. Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
To
they
say I
it's-
want to help drive traffic.
It's
to it.
harder to like see that there's the same thing.
So what has me interested is like strategically, we are creating content. Mostly we do it with Brad. We create content and we put it in front of other people's audiences that we otherwise wouldn't reach.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that drives traffic. But like there's ambiguous brand equity and awareness that happens to it, but there's also like measurable when it's like, oh yeah, we're seeing this on our website increase, and we're seeing like some things that we can actually track, and we are tracking. Oh yeah, I heard you guys on Bradley's podcast. Sweet. There's $30,000 we're tracking to a free podcast we did.
Sure.
If we drove more traffic to that replay, we might see more of that. So my brain does make a business investment decision, and it doesn't have to be like concrete, and there's no guarantees, but it's like, yeah, I can see that there will be an ROI in
so
that
all of
rather
that is
than
there.
something else.
Every podcast has, and the reason I want to back up, you challenged my use of the word deserve. That's not inherent to the podcast. That is a assessment that Greg Jenkins has made, having listened to all the podcasts.
Is valuable.
I've listened to every episode.
Yeah.
So
and it had
more
an impact
importantly,
on me,
the
and I want
market
that other
deserves to hear it.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
And I felt like you dismantled it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I think it's like the content in and of itself is so
I
inherently
see.
worthy
So
that
not
it
the
deserves to be told.
Okay.
No, like people need to hear this story, and it would be super valuable and serving to them. And anyway, the word deserve is like, no, that's a righteous stance to take when people who are writing checks. And I'm just giving you the other side of the coin because I would agree with you. I do think content is inherently valuable, and I could easily say, that story deserves to be told. But as the guy writing the check,
I kind of feel like what JMac is saying is 6th Division is going to come in as a silent partner.
Yeah, that's what I'm
write
hearing.
kind of a big check, hand it to us under the table, and say, good luck with your project.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I
do I get a cartoon persona like the Wildcrats? Has anybody seen the Wildcrats? No, I have children.
No.
They're real life people, and then they get animated. They're
Have
super
you
badass.
seen Greg's cartoon yet?
Yeah, his park ranger.
No.
Oh, a
a
different
cartoon
one.
of me.
Of
for
Greg,
this
the one for the
podcast.
podcast.
Yes, I want to see it.
I will show you.
Yeah.
it
So
before the
every
day's up.
episode, Pete says, like, how can people get more of you? How do the people find you or want to learn about you? And the person on the podcast has an opportunity to plug their website or a lead capture or their social profiles or whatever. So when we ask those same people, hey, we want to promote your podcast episode with this animation that we've already funded and created, and we're going to do it anyway, do you want to contribute to it? The indirect way to track it is, all right, people are going to listen to this podcast, and if you do a good job and they like you, they're going to follow your call to action, and yeah, you should see a spike in traffic but it's like 2 or 3 steps away.
Yeah.
And I feel like
It's like 4 ifs. If
Right.
this, if this,
Right.
Yeah,
if
Right.
this.
it's a
Which
lot of
is-
belief bridges
yeah.
that I have to pass for that 250 when I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'm getting
Or you could spend
$4,
$250 and
$4
drive
a
directly
lead,
to the
and
landing page
and I
of your
can
own.
get it myself. That's
Yeah.
it. It's like, oh, it's closer to the cash,
Yeah.
right? And if I've got the luxury of saying, oh yeah, I'm fine funding that experiment
Well,
for you and for me.
I think the problem is
great.
I'm not asking for your last $250. It's not like this and then nothing else. It's just like we're all doing a lot of shit. Like,
Yeah.
why not like chalk one up to the group? You know, a rising tide raises all ships,
Yeah,
sort of thing. Like,
totally,
the
yes.
better this podcast does, it's good
Well,
for the
in
community.
fairness,
and-
I think if any one of these people had lunch with us every day, that when we talked about this, they would be like, "Yeah, I'll pay $250."
So what we need to do is point them to
like,
this episode.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
then
Be
they'll
like,
understand.
Well,
listen
that-
to like
people-
the thought
Yeah.
and like the-
People make emotional buying
Listen,
decisions.
future
That's why that
podcast
would work.
interviewees.
Yeah.
When you come at it from
we're coming
pure
for you.
logic, like you've got to have a stronger case,
Right.
right? When it's
Which
emotional, like,
I
oh yeah, I
agree.
do want to help the entire community. I do want to help you guys out or whatever. It's different than just a pure. Oh, logically, that makes sense.
I wonder
financially.
if there's if this conversation, if the lesson one lesson we can take from this is maybe this conversation, to speak to the emotional bit of it, if we asked this question right after they finish recording their episode, maybe they're on the emotional high of having done it, and then they feel closer to what they said. Because I would imagine that if any of these people went back and listened to their own episode, they'd be
They
like,
forget.
"Oh yeah,
They
dude,
forget. I did the same thing. I did a podcast, listened to it like 3 months later after it
Yeah,
finally
this
got
is
published.
good.
I was like, this is good.
I'm so
Everybody should hear this.
Right.
Every
So
human should
part
hear
of-
this. And like, I forgot what I said.
right."
Part of it for me was that Pete I think is incredible, the host of the
It's
podcast.
very, very good.
And I finished
do I know
my
that
episode.
name? Peter
Pete
Daly
Daly
Dixon? Yeah.
McCanta.
There we go.
Yeah.
McCanta,
I finished my episode and I felt like it was a therapy session. I felt like I felt lighter and like fixed somehow. I was like, what just happened between us, Pete?
Yeah.
And he was like, that was a great episode, Greg.
Therapeutic.
Yeah. And so
Hey, Gatsby.
I want to
Excuse me.
I know it's a hobby for
Maybe.
him, and it's hard for
Clawing
people
their
to
way
justify their hobby when it's a hobby.
Old game.
And so I just
I
want
didn't see
to
it.
shine a light on it. Is all.
Yeah,
UCF wins.
What's the eyeballs? What's the traffic that podcast gets?
we're in the process.
Yeah.
Like,
After we're done with this campaign, millions.
yeah.
So speaking of like
'Cause what
content
makes-
ideas, we want to follow
Hey,
this
yes.
through.
Yeah.
So like document before and afters and create like
Yeah.
what this experiment encapsulated.
Who's the audience?
right
For
now,
the
it's,
podcast?
it's Infusionsoft.
Primarily
well,
partners,
Infusionsoft users,
right.
but primarily Infusionsoft.
I think it can be small.
Anyone
I mean, because like it's such a
Anyone
small.
anyone
What do I
that was the
what do
first
I
thing
get
I
out
said,
of it,
so,
right?
yeah.
I mean, as a business decision.
Anyone considering becoming an
Yeah.
Infusionsoft partner,
Yeah.
so you get potential partnerships and you get brand equity and like accolade or connections through that. Infusionsoft users who are considering hiring a partner and want to learn about who these partners are, right? Introduction to them, so you get potential leads or authority, and then who did I miss?
There's lots of episode specificity too. So
Yeah,
like you can
profile your
easily
niche and-
you can easily say like this episode is about creativity and it's Sam Bennett's episode and you can target more creatives or you know what I mean? So if Pete starts to chop it up a little bit, then I think you can
I think the
even get more
intended
specific.
audience has always been partners,
Yeah.
but I think, all immediately saw that it has much broader applicability.
It's-
like anybody could take something from any of the stories.
Yeah, it's also like this is the space I play in, so I have a unique appreciation for the stories that are being told. Josh listened to some of them and he was like not hooked immediately because he doesn't know who all these people are.
Right.
Whereas for me, like filling in, Jeremy Shapiro's backstory was like just fascinating because I know him as the fuse desk guy or
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
right? And so it connected a lot of dots for me. But I totally get that not everyone will appreciate it the way that I
Totally.
did or react to it the way that I did.
So anyway, we're just giving you a little bit of backstory on that project. We are obviously Folklore is newer, but Josh and I had breakfast
name, by the
on
way.
Monday. Folklore Creative.
So good.
Thank you. So we had breakfast on Monday, and we were sitting, and we have some contracts or potential contracts that are coming in right now for some other stuff.
Bragging about it.
We do have breakfast together.
Breakfast today.
Yeah,
Made
and
it
you
today.
guys had
So
breakfast,
good.
and we've all had breakfast.
Well, listen, I never eat breakfast, so you guys can be a club.
It threw off my
Hold on,
intermittent fasting.
Just listen. So we had breakfast, and Josh and I were talking about, like, okay, we've been doing this for almost, what, like 16 months now of folklore, like since idea to now, and it has gone by really, really fast.
How long does it take?
And we've moved forward a lot, but there's like this whole like, okay, and I don't know if this is a real thing in business. You guys can probably tell us, but we're at a point right now where like, okay, we've worked on all these projects. What are now? What do we actually want to be? Like, we're having a real identity crisis.
For starts, yeah. Who do
When
you
it-
want to
when-
serve?
when-
How do you want to serve them? And what's the financial model that's going to make it actually make you money?
Yeah,
That's
we've
it.
been saying yes, and we can look back and we can say, okay, these, and there's like new projects that are coming in that we haven't worked at that level of project.
It's animation, right? Is that the main thing?
Yet. I
Like,
want,
if you guys were serious,
the
if you
outcome
wanted
is
to be an animation shop for
Yeah.
video, two things have to happen. You need an audience of people that need animation, and it's business outcomes, right? It's videos for businesses, right? So why would someone want to do that rather than live video, right? It's more complex, etc. Why would someone do that? What's the ROI on it, or how does it differentiate you? And then where can you get in front of audiences to just like get some clients that will fund you to move up? Like Nolan works with 6th Division, and we hire him to do all of our videography and editing and all that sort
then
of
people
stuff.
say,
And we connect him with
Yeah.
all of our clients who
Yeah.
want it, and we bring him in on accelerators. And like, no one does
By the way-
animation. So my point is
Yeah.
like we can plug that in.
Yeah.
But why? And is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And when you're ready to rock, let's go. And first,
and I
I
don't
need to
know.
see
I
what
don't
I would
really
look
even know
like
the answer.
animated.
we don't know the answer to that because
How
we-
cut would I be?
No, so
I draw flags.
That face.
Screenshot that.
so
I think we
JMac.
can just take the Greg animation and like, form it up a
Chisel it
little.
Trim the flab.
Over there.
Oh man, but yeah, so like, it's not a matter of like, I think we can go in any direction still, but like we need to decide what type of projects we want to be taking on
Yep.
and stop
That's hard.
we've
That's
been
not
saying,
as apparent to me as I
no,
once
we've been
thought
saying
it would
yes
be.
to everything, and that's good. We've been doing
Which
all
is
different
fine.
Yeah.
types
Gotta
of
feel it out.
projects.
Also, I just started Seth Godin's new book, which I think is going to answer or help a lot and guide us. And
Good.
Everyone. It came out yesterday, so everyone should
You,
get it.
you
Grace.
gotta
Well,
Godin.
this-
Stay,
We're
stay
plugging
tuned.
that in.
Yeah.
you gotta date some folks who are not the right fit to figure out what you're not looking for.
Well, let's not get into that
Do
conversation.
you guys want to be a animation service agency?
I think we have an idea that we want to help people tell, create. Yeah, like
If it
I
just
think
wants
it,
to be
it maybe
animation.
can be
'Cause-
more.
Well, it
than
doesn't have
that.
to
It can
just be, but it has to first to be something.
Right.
Sure.
And
So
that's what. Yes.
Yeah.
The
what
answer
we're
is
kinda
yes,
working
but I
towards.
think it's like.
Well, then all you
storage-
need some clients.
We have some clients.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you just need more of them.
Maybe.
Paying you consistently.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is margins. Animation costs more than everyone expects.
Wait, what are you doing here?
Working.
Hey,
Come on,
what's
that's my
up?
buddy Nick.
Hey.
What's up,
Nick?
Nick?
A super
Greg.
guest appearance.
JMac.
I'm
Yeah.
Justin. Yeah, nice to meet you, Nick.
The dream team. Yeah.
What's
So
going
I
on,
was
man?
just talking. Sorry to walk away. That was super rude. I was just talking to the guy. I was like, "Beef? What the heck?
Yeah.
What's up, dude? Nothing. These guys just got their liquor license stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, right on.
He's a distributor.
Right on.
So.
Yeah.
Trying to fill them up with some stuff. They're
Yeah.
about to margaritas on tap.
Which is so you're liquor as opposed to like beer and cider or beer and wine or
Yep.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely different license.
Yep.
I'm not a professional like you are, but
Oh,
they
there's a
might
dog
want to
somewhere,
get
by the
like
way.
a case or something for the liquor and not just leave it out in the back where you can just anyone can access.
We come
it
here
all
and help
time.
ourselves to the cooler.
Is he back there?
All of their wine and beers are just right there.
Oh my gosh. You just help yourself?
No.
No, you don't. I mean, you could. Is what
No.
That's so funny. What are you guys doing?
Whatever.
Hanging out? Getting lunch?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
get lunch.
This is
We'll
called
go
Dude Lunch. We come
Dudes
and discuss
lunch? Yeah.
Yeah.
discuss different things and
We're into
projects that we're
literal.
working on.
Yeah, we
and I
very,
feel
very
that's pretty
straightforward.
cool.
Not a lot of
Very
layers.
obvious, yeah.
I
Not gonna read into anything.
subtleties to that.
It's not a Shrek
And this is
situation.
Flat
No onions,
Stanley.
no layers.
It's like-
Straightforward.
This is Justin's child's represent.
That's not my child. My wife is also two-dimensional, but not the curviest, but a great personality.
Not just biological children.
representation. Of the
Very
child.
well behaved.
He is.
Very well
Yeah,
behaved.
Outside children.
Mug
You
Josh.
can't- yeah, I know. He got a little attitude with me earlier, but
What?
We'll let us say something.
We worked it out.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Cameron was telling me how she asked
Hey,
me to
no,
help.
she gave me an assignment.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pumped.
I was
can't wait.
looking over Utah and Colorado with her last night. I'm
oh my
Dude, we
gosh.
were in the
That's
shade
right,
and we
yeah.
sat down,
This is
right?
a
I
lot.
know, yeah.
We were. I
What did she
de-robed.
like do? I don't know.
Little
I
bit,
don't know what
yeah.
she's expecting.
For sure, my
Research
phone's
for
gonna overheat.
football?
She just wants some.
Oh, good,
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Make a tent.
I'll find some angles.
They send her a bunch.
I know,
of
well,
stuff.
the
be
problem
fun.
is it's also the audio for the recording, so
Absolutely.
it can't be too
Yeah.
tense.
It has to be just really high.
I haven't
Keep
even-
the audio coming in.
Had I known that this was going to happen,
I
would've
don't.
just
Yeah.
parked
I
us in
didn't even know.
front
I was
We
like,
can bring an
walking, I was
umbrella
like, where
over.
the hell is this bar?
Can
I don't even know where it's gonna
There's
be.
an
Tell me,
umbrella.
like, yeah, like once
A brolly?
I don't know, probably
Brolly?
Does it work?
at least once a month.
Oh, cool.
Maybe this is an
On a mission,
opportunity to
Greg.
plan our next spike ball match, or
Heck yeah.
Oh.
whatever it may be.
Or maybe I can help sponsor some margaritas next time.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm down for that. I think we all would be on board.
All right.
We do come here for dude lunch pretty often.
They're gonna have a bunch of like cool because they're not gonna have like bartenders, so they're gonna have like
Hot water stuff.
they're gonna
or,
buy
like,
they're gonna buy Cutwater Bloody Mary cans. And,
Good. This sponsored by Cutwater.
A Paloma, a bottled Paloma, a bottled
Paloma?
Manitoba.
Yeah, those are great.
Oh, nice.
What do you
A
mean?
bottle. A bottle.
It's like
pre-mixed.
yeah, like a pre-made.
Are they good?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you around this weekend?
No, I'm going to Cal Stanford game.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, dope.
I think JMac
Which where is
might
that?
be-
Berkeley? Or?
Berkeley.
As
Are
far
you
as like
driving?
No, I fly
episode to Yoda
Cool.
quote
So are you going?
ratio, I think he's
God.
probably our hardest hitter.
Tell
So
him
far.
I say
Yeah.
hello. Is he ever come to San Diego, or is he just
Yeah,
retired?
he's, uh,
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Not
good.
Articulate,
I watched
articulate,
Come
insightful.
at all.
And I know why Brad hired him.
Sure, man.
So is he doing well though?
Did you know that he started
So
much
he
better?
was giving me a hard time about coming up to this game. I was
We're
like, dude, you're coming with
co-founders.
before. Like, I don't need to see the price. Like, the game sounds fun.
Long story,
And
but
then
didn't work out. You know,
went through with it,
I
pulled
left,
the trigger,
and
then
then
he
he was
comes
gonna
down
like also
Thursday
leave,
night,
and
gets sick Friday morning. He's sick
some shit
in my
happened
bed.
that
I just
made it
watched.
less appealing for
still doing laundry.
a guy
I'm
with
just
3
trying to,
kids to like leave his job.
Jeez,
But yeah, I mean,
Louise.
he's a superstar
But
for
he's
sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, he's getting married in.
There you go. Look at that.
that
Perfect.
moved pretty quickly.
nice and shaded.
Is this a battery pack?
She
Yeah,
wasn't
although
there, though.
it's
No, she didn't. Go.
I don't know how well it
Thankfully.
looks now
She
because it's
she can't
like
even-
not on right now. So I'm
would've
not
been
just
fine.
holding. I might need to switch them now. Anyway, whatever. It's fine.
Cool, man. I'm really happy this happened.
That
Yeah,
battery,
me too.
the phone battery is.
Of all the, I don't know why of all the people, like, no way.
It's out of
Because
his
it's not
domain.
downtown, yeah.
I know. Well, and I've never been here for work.
Yeah.
I don't even know who to ask.
That's
for.
also why I.
Who's our guy that usually helps
Lex.
us? Lex.
Oh yeah.
The guy who usually helps us, yeah.
But I told you the ALU story. I mean, you know.
Just the,
Yeah.
the
more
video.
recent stuff. Yeah. So
I got
the short version is Sarah
What is that? Where's
worked
that
for a
picture?
local company here,
It's
and
like,
one of the
it's
founders
like
is
on
this
the other side
guy
of
Fred,
this,
who
like,
also
it's like
started
basically
African
next
Leadership
to the
Academy
picture.
and then African Leadership University.
Come watch
So I
Soldiers
met
Play.
Fred through Sarah as like a
there
work
was this place
function.
in Mission Bay.
And
it's
he
called
was, I was
Sportsman
still at the
Seafood.
fusion
It's like
shop,
a
and I
fish
told him a
taco
little bit
place.
what we do, and then
The
like a
guy,
year later,
owner,
he started
he
this
just
network
plays like
of universities,
reruns
and
of
he was
like
like, Greg,
college football
we need
live
some CRM.
all day long, and like old NFL like
Yeah.
classics. It's
And,
so
I
funny. He's
talked to
sitting
him
there,
about
and
it,
I'm
and
just
I was like,
watching
you
like
don't need
old
CRM,
football
you need
games.
I love that.
You need a full-time
This
person.
is cool. I can't remember the outcome. I know UCF's undefeated.
I was like
still,
10 months
so
into
I wouldn't bet
Monkey
against
Pie
it,
at that
but
point. I can't leave. I can't. Like, I'm building something here. I can't just leave it.
Is this happened?
And I wouldn't have
and
like
then it's so
teased Justin
the
with
next
it,
week is
but
Thanksgiving.
he,
and after this
like a week
weekend,
later, like,
Thanksgiving.
made a comment to me about
week
how
from
he was
tomorrow.
frustrated with like some
Right?
changes at work,
Yeah.
reorganization and
Wild.
stuff. And I was like, all right,
I'll be here Thanksgiving weekend.
gotta tell you this thing.
Are you
And
guys gonna be here?
he has a background. He's a teacher.
Yeah, I'll
he's
be
a high school
here.
teacher,
I'm for, like,
you know,
Thursday, but I'm
and has a
coming back
passion
Friday
for
morning.
I'm back
for
that whole
service.
weekend.
the
Back-
culture of
let's do a
Africa.
big, huge day
The,
out.
the singular culture of
Yeah.
Vietnam.
It's
He
a
just
joke.
like cares a lot and understands
Same,
digital marketing and
like,
leadership
lives
and
up
all
to
of the
my
things.
I'm
That,
not
like it's
gonna
just an
show you.
intersection of a lot of things that.
7
he's
I'm not
hours.
gonna
understood.
show you.
So
I'm
The
not-
worst 2 days of my
told him
life.
about it. I just feel the conflict, like
Oh yeah, I'll never
I have to look into
think
this
about
sort
it.
of thing. And he talked to Fred, who is
The second day of wearing them, it took me
the
like
single most accomplished
40 minutes to get
or
them off.
influential person I've ever
Contacts?
met personally.
first
Yeah,
probably.
Forbes has named him the top 10 most influential men, powerful men in Africa.
Yeah, he's just like a juggernaut and like a genuinely driven and passionate,
Probably
good
dancing your eyes. Good
person
catch.
and leader. And anyway, so he hired JMac to lead the
But
marketing.
it wasn't
I was in a
the
And then
shirt,
JMac
or maybe
hired
a sweater.
me for like 10 hours, or 15 hours a week, or whatever it was.
All his gears.
And then we did the ALU thing
Yeah,
for
heck yeah.
I'm sure I didn't use all the hours, right? I probably owe us. There's probably a balance.
banked a few. Yeah. Some weeks we used more, some weeks we used
Oh,
fewer.
it's all gonna even out, right?
Hey, nice meeting you guys.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
yeah, and now it's just a chapter in our past. An awesome one.
That was a fun
But-
interruption.
We've been doing the testimonial stuff, and I've been like reliving all of those. you know?
Yeah. Well, I just think it's crazy how people in this community, our stories fold into each other so well. Like, you guys are connected in that way. We're connected now because of them. We're connected because
So your
we're
chapter
connected
at
because
Frank,
of Josh.
Yeah.
Josh, we're connected there.
We did
you
the
and I are
Frank Kern
connected.
event. We're connected through 6, and
Yeah,
you
through
know,
my
we're
bro.
bro.
I think
But I'm only connected to Frank through Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you at that
exactly.
event?
Yeah, that is true.
The one we did?
I don't know.
I think,
so.
yeah, the first Frank event he
Yeah.
was at.
Yeah, the one we
yeah,
did.
Torrey
Paul.
Pines, Torrey
Yeah.
Pines. Yeah. So I think a really, really funny like high school, like you would have an animator animate it like a piece of content would be like a connections of
overlaps,
partners thing
Yeah.
that you could do, which would be so funny, and it would like start with Scott Martineau, and it could be like a timeline.
7 degrees of Scott.
Yeah, because everyone's married.
Yeah, dude.
Infusionsoft.
And then you just
Well, the funny part is
Why
that
didn't
the first
Infusionsoft sponsor
the first
that
bit
one
of it-
to promote their
$25,000.
Promote their
the
partner
first like
program.
30 seconds of it would just be this around in a circle, not getting any bigger because it's just inside the Martineau family. It just does this. And this, and
I had a
and then it
Next
starts to
time,
branch
time
out.
to speed
I
up.
had a
But then
conversation.
it's Levitts, so it's Martineau's, Levitts, masks, and then it goes from there.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him yesterday, I think, and I said, "Oh yeah, Justin's coming." And I was like, "Do you know Justin?" He was like, "I don't think we've met, but like I feel like I know him." And you said, "It's like your cousin who you like know all about, but like haven't met."
That's good.
And after the call, I was like, that must be a Mormon thing. Because, like, I've
I don't
met
have
all my cousins. Like, I don't have that many cousins, you know? But, like, in like,
It's a
bigger
Martineau
families,
thing. There's
it's
at least 30
probably
cousins. that I've never
totally
met.
reasonable
Oh my
to
gosh.
have cousins of my cousins and you just start acquainted with.
Well, it's really interesting. Like the Martineau family is fascinating, right? Like I've got a very unique relationship with Scott, and then obviously a very different relationship with Brad. Those two things don't intersect in any way.
No.
Yeah.
Right? They don't intersect anyway. And you know, and like here we are, and it doesn't intersect with those others, other than this thing called Infusionsoft and the world. It's like the category that Infusionsoft has created
Right.
that is unique to the entrepreneurial world and so forth, right?
totally.
It's super cool.
And that's been like the core of the stuff that I've been putting out. I think, Greg, you might be my sole listener.
I'm digging it, man.
But I think you're into that kind of like stories thing.
Yeah.
So I've just been going back, and every morning I tell like a 20-minute story from like.
It's like he makes
early
coffee
days.
and like reminisces for 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah.
But you've been running an ads to that, right?
Oh yeah. I've got
Sponsored
I've got,
clips out of it,
I've
yeah.
got money running too. I got a whole strategy that I'm trying out. Gonna see if it works. But anyway, that process for me has. At first, I was like, first of all, I would never even thought that it would be interesting for anybody else to know about what happened in the early days at Infusionsoft. Like, why does anybody care?
Yeah.
And then I was talking with Jason. Actually, Jason's like the source of all, all of my inspiration for the good ideas I come up with. Is actually because Jason's like, hey, this would be really cool.
Yeah.
You're like,
Not a bad idea. So I started telling these stories, but I think those types of things, like we make connections and we realize that everything folds in on itself, but there's something there underneath everything that we're doing. You say category that Infusionsoft created. I mean, I totally agree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was automation kind of before, there was systemization, there was CRM before, but nothing like what Infusionsoft literally created. And to have been around at the genesis of that and watch it grow, and like I can, having been around it, I have videos of like the 7 of us at Infusionsoft doing our initial like Friday meetings or whatever, and going back into those, and just like I think there's a lot there. And so like what we talk about with the Partner podcast, some of those stories I think are just fascinating. I do think it'd be hilarious though to do like a starts
map
here
it.
web.
Yeah.
and it goes from there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anywho.
I thought about that recently, or not too long ago, for like my high school swim coach who coached at my high school for like 40 years, right? Like
It's
his,
like a Bill Belichick network or
yeah,
whatever.
like his collective network of influence, right? There's certain people like that, and Scott Martin would be a fascinating one to just
would be
map their
hard enough.
social footprint. or
Totally.
whatever.
Bill
Yeah.
Belichick is coach at the Parcells.
Parcells is the craziest
Parcells,
coaching tree.
Parcells is the tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
anywho,
We got interrupted by our buddy, so I apologize, but when a buddy walks in.
What are you gonna
greet
do,
him
man?
with
It's all good.
a smile and a high five.
Especially when he represents more alcohol.
We lost all our viewer.
Yeah.
Actually, we do have a comment. I shared our live stream link to Facebook and Twitter, and Brian Keith posted, "Remind me why I don't live in San Diego again." So
exactly.
Standing invitation for Mr. Brian Redbeard Keith, aka the artist formerly known as Grizzle Pizzle.
And really anyone.
Yeah, or whoever.
Yeah.
It's a little warm today, but for my
It's a
liking.
Yeah.
Josh is still in the
Brett, are we're still on to meet tomorrow, yeah? And get a little more
we're
focused
still
on
on.
some stuff.
We're still on.
I'd like to do, if we're going to meet online, I'd like to do some sort of recording too.
Sure.
Because I think we can repurpose that content. Because we're going to be more specific about what ads we're going to be
Sure.
running for Peter and for us.
Yeah, yeah. And it all kind of fits under the same.
You talking about folklore advertising stuff?
Yeah, we're
Cool.
running
Nice.
our ads to that too. We've been running it for a little while, but Brett, we haven't asked Brett the question, what exactly are you doing? We're just letting him run with it, and tomorrow hopefully we get a little bit.
So
more
you guys
light on what
do
we're doing.
animation. I got that.
Yeah.
Do you do any other types of like? Do you do any graphic or animation on top of video?
On top of
Like a
Yeah, like I'm
different
thinking.
Roger Rabbit
I'm thinking
kind
of
thing.
Authority Football.
And like
doing
an
stuff,
X and O, like
yeah,
flying
stuff
around.
on top of like mechanical stuff. If we're
Sure,
trying to illustrate
we
a concept,
could.
I'm just wondering if like that's a thing you're interested in. Just throwing another
Yeah,
thing to
yeah,
distract
yeah.
you from your main purpose. Apparently, yeah, we could do that.
No, this is what we do.
This is
We're
we
like,
say
oh,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
let's take on that project.
That's what we've been doing. That's literally
Although
what we've been doing.
If it's in like the football vein, it's
Yeah,
probably
it
closer
fits.
to like
Yeah,
what they're.
exactly.
I'm gonna show you before.
I think their first client was a football podcast, college
Football
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid verb.
Like I've got a new course, and I'd be interested.
You
in
and everyone
showing-
else.
Yeah, right. We talked about this morning. Yeah, and I'd
age
love
of the digital
I'd love to
course,
see
yeah.
like because my brain as an
purposely stayed
educator,
out of making
there's
it.
so many
Like,
other
I
things
started
that I
at
would
12,
layer on top of
course,
just what someone
and I'm
sees
like,
to
sure, people are
illustrate
doing this,
concepts
yeah,
that
I'm
you
doing
want
stuff.
someone to get, right?
Yep.
And I use words to do that when I'm on the field, and you can do certain things on a whiteboard and so forth. But to have it all come together is amazing.
Yeah.
The overhead and the time and the complexity to do that's like diminishing returns, right?
Sure.
But
I
I
did some for Greg's project for the migration, kind of like in between scenes,
Uh-huh.
like
Justin
with
wouldn't know
voiceover.
he hasn't seen it. So.
But when you
I've
get
seen the sizzle reel.
Yeah.
there's some animation.
You and
associated.
Deborah.
That's right. Shout out to Deborah. Yeah.
Woot woot.
It's not necessarily over the video. It's kind of like
By the way,
in between.
Cutaways,
Greg does
yeah.
not look flabby in this at all.
Yeah.
You look insanely.
So we decided
Post celiac diagnosis. Greg is trim.
we're going to plan a road trip.
Pre-celiac.
And drive
Had a couple extra LBs.
miles up to the Canadian
Couple beers.
Rockies and
Couple beers a
exploring
night.
That's right.
Do
That's right.
that.
That's right. Yeah.
in the RV for
Dude,
a
I
few
just
days.
Digestive system not working at full capacity.
We just finished cutting an
that I had
episode that I
created a
launched on
business
Monday,
afforded me the
which is
flexibility
not
to
actually
do
me.
your
this,
podcast?
and
Not
in
not
just
actually
about
not
2 years'
podcast,
time,
the show.
I took
Not
a
actually me
full-
making
almost a
coffee
full
because
month
a bunch of
off
stuff happened.
for
But
this trip.
How's your new place, by the way?
I was fully
great.
prepared
Can't
to
wait.
come
It's
back
great.
from it.
Dude, it's
and
so
I say
cool
we.
looking.
and have fires
The
to
we
put
is
out
the
and
royal
have
we.
to
Me, me.
scramble to catch up on
You know how
stuff.
me and the
team.
When I
Well,
got
I do have a couple of people that I brought on. I do have a
was
couple of people that I brought on to help, like with
Okay.
cutting
Well,
it
I
together,
know,
like
yeah.
secret
How
levels.
How long
Kat
is
is
this?
a VA, Kat, yeah.
Me working
And then
for
Tom,
my business
who I
full-time
worked with
in June,
before.
working part-time in
Yeah,
July.
he's
July
really
exceeded
good.
the
I'm
June
sure-
sale.
But talking about like
Yeah,
totally
it's really
diverting
neat.
from the
It's
stories
really
and
neat
talking
looking.
about like,
How long does it
a
take
lot
to
of people
make
talk
that?
about sugar, and I like
The animator that
I'm
we work
thoroughly
with on
convinced
this, she's based in
that
Mexico.
sugar
Her name's Carla.
is, like-
she
like
her
if you can
process
get
takes
to
a
the
couple
point where you
weeks.
can
So I would
separate
say
yourself from
so
sugar
you have someone else doing it.
immediately
What's it
before or
cost
after
you to
strenuous
make that?
exercise,
Okay.
change your life. Because like I realized
depends.
over the weekend
If I
with
can
my
get
parents coming
more
to town,
animations,
we
the
had a
per
lot of
animation
desserts.
costs less.
Okay.
as you
If
do.
it's
So what's
more
that one
And
cost?
the whole weekend I was like,
Between $300
I
and
can't.
$500.
I slept probably
Which is why
between the 3 nights,
we're
I probably
making no
slept
money on this, and we're asking people
7
for
or 8 more hours
$250.
altogether for the weekend than I normally do, but was
Didn't feel rested.
50% as rested.
So
Huh.
Like to
Whereas,
me,
like,
like,
when I'm-
again,
when
my
I'm-
brain's
I've
like,
been
what's
off
the
sugar for a
benefit,
while.
right?
I'm
Ooh,
not
it's
drinking beer.
disruptive.
Like it just
Right
makes
now,
it
anything
easier.
that
So it's like
feels
going on the science
feels
behind all this stuff,
differently
but you
than
just
other
see, like,
things.
Right.
And a
sugar.
talking head is a
Yeah.
talking
You know
head.
what I mean?
Interesting.
You know?
and that's what I'll tell you.
It's
is
like that's
we-
a more
we-
interesting
You know, when you
talking
make a
head.
conscious effort.
And I'm gonna make a
Science
talking
is
head video for I can do it myself, but if
I
I
have
had a
this-
professional,
I've never in my life
and I do it with some other videos that I'm
stuck
doing.
to a diet or
Um,
tried
I'm
even
spending the same
really
amount of
to
money.
diet because
Yep.
like I was an
Right? But
athlete
it's
and like you
disruptive.
just
It's
eat
cool.
what you
It's
eat
clever.
and
It's
like
different.
you just work
Yeah.
out more.
So
Yeah.
it's just
But
looking at all that. Like,
So
having
this,
a-
I'm gonna show
like a
him.
medical
Oh, we have to
diagnosis
go
where
by the
I'm,
way. But
like,
I,
removing
this is
certain
one. So you know
things.
how you said do you want
I
to put
have
stuff on top of football video?
subsequently
yeah.
given
So
myself
this
like
is
carte
totally
blanche
different.
on
This is
whatever
like an
else.
old
Like,
Super Nintendo.
I'll eat all
This
the
is
I'm not
the
even
Arsenal
serious.
one.
Dessert, I'm not
But
even gluten, so
I'll
I
do
can
it
do
the
whatever I
part
want.
when it
This is
gets
hard
into the
enough
actual gameplay,
that I will
watch
just like
this.
have dessert whenever
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want.
yeah.
As long as it's
They did an
gluten-free, but I
amazing
just,
job
like,
animating
I'm
this
only gonna
too.
make it
But this is like a
excellent and
professional
difficult for
animation
me.
team.
So the idea of like restricting in other ways probably makes a lot of sense. I just
cool looking.
like I'm mentally still
This is like the
adapting
old
to
video
like
games.
is that
Right.
was that
And
actually the
this is
video
right.
game?
And
the way
yeah, and this is
the
real life.
way
and
I
they
view
made
the
it look
menu
like a
of you
video
going
game.
to
No
restaurants.
way!
Right, right.
Keep
There's a
watching.
whole little overhead there. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And that was a big part of it. Was like, it's not a long post. It's not very scientific. It's like, I'm not telling you to stop eating sugar.
So
I'm just saying,
cool, man.
When I don't, if I restrict
Is
my
that-
sugar
is that
intake
real?
to immediately before
I
you
mean,
use
the real,
what I do.
yeah,
extremely
these are
strenuous
real
exercise.
photos.
Oh, that was
of
cool.
it. They
So,
cut it so
crazy.
Is that a
professional.
Mario coin? What did I hear?
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
it
cool.
uses it. So they did a crossover between
favorite
Super
show.
Nintendo and
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
video.
I
So
like
like
that.
This is
But they,
that's
like,
very disruptive.
Take this amazing.
Could you do
goal
that
and
with
make it,
GoPro
like,
video?
video game.
I think you could do it if you have if you have any video you can go in
Pixelate
and
it
do
and make
something.
it
seen a
look
couple,
like
like,
they've got the ability.
Tech
That'd be
Pro
so
style
cool,
animations
man.
lately that I'm super into. Oh yeah.
So what happened was the
Like the
coach
actual-
made a very key
Oh,
sub.
yeah, yeah.
He made a very key sub at a
But,
certain
like,
point in the
this
game,
is actual-
and
that's
then that
actual
guy
sport.
came in and scored the goal, and that's what they were
Yeah,
highlighting.
highlighting that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Is there
The
someone
sa-
there? Of course
This
there
is
is.
more
Cross.
like sound
Yeah.
animation than anything.
Yeah, there's a lot happening.
Is that his back leg?
Amazing goal, but then it's just cool.
Like those when it was game over.
Yeah.
When it was game over,
This is
It's
sick.
great. I just love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's really cool.
I like
it's a
it.
concept.
Dig.
But this,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
these
the
people are getting
NBA's
paid
doing that a
thousands
little
of
bit right
dollars.
now with some of their
Yeah.
But
promos.
see, this
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm like,
this
oh, that's
is what
freaking
we
cool.
wanna
Yeah, they do,
create.
but like
the NBA is by
anime
far
style.
the best. Like
Yeah.
of the American leagues. Of,
Yeah.
like,
I
digital
can't.
media.
I can't speak for
Ooh,
Josh, but I
Carol
want to
Silver.
create stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is what I want folklore to
So
ultimately
sad
be
for him.
No
responsible
surgery
for.
yet.
I know. He said
And
he
I
might
would
be
love to
back
work
this
for
year.
someone as big as
Just to
Arsenal
dislocate-
Football Club.
Yeah.
Did you watch what I watched?
And have a
But,
team
like,
that can turn
there's
around a
no
project like that in
ligament
3
damage
days.
or
Yeah.
anything
And
torn. It's just dislocated.
We're charging them
foot
10
and
grand for
ankle.
that.
It was
They're
clearly
just-
pointing the
you know
wrong
who
way.
made that
It
one?
wasn't a bone, bro.
Arsenal's
Like,
design team.
So
They have a full staff.
Do they have like
He's gonna be
an
an
email
all-star
address
this
or
year.
a phone
He's
number?
great.
I know.
There's no. I mean,
Breakout
Ars,
season
you could
for
probably
sure.
marketing at
Yeah.
Arsenal Football
Yeah.
Club.
But I'm glad that
I'm just saying, you get,
Yeah.
the data that we are looking at, been talking about since day one. The data you're looking for around like
Oh, you think
this
they
type
might
of a
have-
thing,
Yeah.
what the effect is,
Oh.
like
Maybe it
case
is
study.
good,
We want to
yeah.
interview you to see what the difference was. We really appreciated what you did.
Maybe.
What
I
was
feel
the
like you gotta
change?
know. I feel like you gotta know a person.
Well, yeah, but
You
like-
do. You just got to know a
Right.
person who knows
Yeah,
a person.
who knows a
Yeah.
person. Who knows a
I don't know
person.
anybody
I
that
know some people.
All right, I gotta go. Thank you.
Dude
thank
lunch
you.
has an end, huh?
Mine
That's
does. Yours
unfortunate.
can go forever. It can
Yeah.
turn into do dinner.
Well, we have more
Yeah,
stuff.
we
to
got
record.
one.
We'll be dude dinner.
This
Yeah.
is a preamble for.
Yeah,
for
just getting you
whatever
all
comes
loosened
next.
up,
Right.
Yeah.
which I think.
Oh, you guys have big
Yeah, I
things
know,
to
like-
out.
We're gonna record some stuff for. Did I tell you I got access to the ALU icon footage, the African Leadership University icon
Finally.
finalists? Yeah, so they finally gave me permission to use it because they stopped doing icon.
Dope.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, I
They
remember
like
you talking
sent
about
people to
it.
Mauritius to
I've
record.
seen a minute and 20-second promo
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And so I want to.
It's been Dude Lunch.
I don't know what that was
Big
about.
shout out to
fund
JMac.
the
Thanks for
editing
coming.
yeah.
I think
to turn it into
per
a case
episode,
study.
per
So I've got no one
capita,
working on it.
he's
And
got
so
the
there's a
best
couple, like, transitional type
appearance to
clips
Yoda saying
that,
rating that we've had so far. So we're really
record
excited about
and
that.
I sang
Big shout out
this
to Greg,
afternoon. Couple more
Josh,
ciders
Michael,
on it,
as
so it's
always.
good.
We are Dude Lunch.
And then
We'll
we'll
see
get
y'all
Nolan
sometime in the
like,
future.
slice 'em
Peace